Welcome to the Taryn Reeves Show, the podcast for elite entrepreneurs, visionary leaders, and high-impact CEOs who are ready to grow their brand, amplify their message, and build a legacy. I'm your host, Taryn Reeves, multiple international best-selling author, publishing strategist, and founder of Automatic Authority Publishing and Press House. Each week, we dive into powerful conversations with trailblazing entrepreneurs and changemakers who are using storytelling to scale their business and impact. So grab your favorite drink, settle in, and get ready for a dose of inspiration, strategy, and the truth behind what it really takes to turn your wisdom into wealth. Today, I have Kristy Garnett on the show, who is a holistic living coach and clinical herbalist. Before stepping into her role as a sought-after holistic living coach and clinical herbalist, Kristy was ignoring every warning sign her body was sending. That sounds pretty familiar. Battling mini strokes and debilitating migraines, she found herself trapped in a cycle of unexplained health struggles until she made it her mission to uncover not just the solution, but the root cause of her suffering. Determined to heal naturally, Kristy embarked on a journey of trial, error, and deep self-discovery, learning how to partner with her body and address both the physical and emotional blocks holding her back. Through this transformation, she freed herself from limitations and learned how to thrive on her own terms. Since 2014, Kristy has been empowering high achievers to unlock their full potential without burnout, restriction, or sacrificing luxury. Using her expertise in herbalism, holistic health, and intuitive coaching, she helps ambitious individuals achieve even greater success while feeling deeply aligned, energized, and fulfilled. Kristy, welcome to the Taryn Reeves Show.
Hi there. It's so lovely to be here. Thank you for having me.
It's amazing to have you, and I can't wait to dive into all things luxury wellness with you, because it's not something that people often associate wellness and luxury together. When I think of luxury, I'm like, oh, like a fine wine or some really nice food. And then so often in the wellness space, we're told you can't eat gluten and you can't have this and you can't have that. I'm like, but what about the pasta? So tell me more about this unique perspective that you have on luxury in the wellness space.
Well, absolutely, because what I see that has been happening over the years in the wellness space is there's been a lot of buzzwords like holistic. But if you think about holistic, it really drops out when it comes to anything like pleasureful, joyful, luxurious, because a lot of these things don't taste good. And if you have to limit gluten, like what do you do then? And so luxury is the missing piece in holistic living and healing. And so I think I want to flip that on everybody's head and say, what does luxury actually mean? Because for so long, it has meant exclusivity. It's a branding tool. It's about being competitive and elite, but that's not true luxury. And that's not holistic living if you're not really in tune with what luxury is.
Yeah. Okay, so how is your approach different? Because I know that you're a clinical herbalist and you're coaching us high achievers. How is
Yes.
your approach different to this is going to sound really blunt, but hey, it's me, like the bazillion other coaches in the space?
Well, first and foremost, I really do believe that luxury is the missing piece. So I'm not here to tell you if you love that glass of wine at the end of the night and you know that you're having a reaction to it, we find something alternative to it. It's not about deprivation. It's about what it is inside of you that you're looking for.
Yes.
So there are a lot of coaches, and for a very long time, I did not want to be identified as a coach because I was so into, well, it has to be this way and it has to be that way, and we have to have scientific research behind it and clinical expressions and knowledge. And what I really came out to find is I am a coach. I am an empowerment coach. I help people find their own path. And I have a scientific background to boot. So it's the merging of the intuition and the knowledge, the education piece. And so that is what makes me very different, is because I have learned for myself how to bridge that, what people would say was woo-woo or out there, or all of that stuff, and how to make it align and run seamlessly with the education and the knowledge.
Yeah. Now, we were having a bit of a chuckle before we pressed record on this episode about type A personalities and high achievers. Now, I will put my hand up and say I am like an excessive type A personality. Can you tell us, why do people like me often struggle with burnout despite doing all the right things for our health, if you like?
So the first thing that I always say to people like us is everyone wants a type A when they want something done.
I love that you said that. I was laughing yesterday to my partner because he had this business idea, and literally within 2.5 hours, I had done competitor research. I had written up some copy. I had broken down all the offers with competitive pricing. I had a flyer written and delegated to my team. I had an online booking system set up with scannable QR codes. And he's just looking at me. He goes, "How did you do that in 2.5 hours?" I was like, "I don't know. I just got the idea and then it happened."
Exactly. Exactly. And that's the thing about being a type A. So I always say there's 3 reasons that you might be a type A and how we get there.
Mm,
And then doing all the right things, right? I call the 3 Ps: parenting,
yeah.
personality, and physiology. So some of us are just wired to be productive.
Mm,
Some of us are just wired that way. And so a lot of type A's are wired to get a lot of things done.
yeah.
Then we might have a parenting stuff, a block underneath that, which says, okay, we just got to work hard, learn a new skill, push faster, harder, stronger, ignore that. And then the personality, maybe you just like to be productive. And
Mm,
so I always want people to do what is best for them. But what happens with type A's, they're on the way to burnout, is they think they can work their way out of it,
mm,
right? You
yeah.
think you can beat the burnout, right?
Yeah. It's like if I just run a bit faster, maybe burnout won't catch up.
Exactly. And on the opposite side of the spectrum, I work with 2 different types of people, the chronic dreamers and
Mm,
the type A's. So what I often do is I find the chronic dreamer in the type A,
mm,
right?
mm,
What are you dreaming about? Well, you're helping your husband. So obviously you went in 2 hours, you're like, this feels great. And that's your way of dreaming,
mm.
but it requires space.
Yes.
And
Perfect.
everyone around you has to kind of get on board, because when you're on, you're on.
Yep.
Like, get out of
Right.
the way.
That's right. I'm like, what's wrong with all of you? Why aren't you
That's
doing
right.
this? And they're all like, we're watching TV, mom.
And you're getting more and more, like, I know,
Anxious.
more and more riled up. And
Hmm.
that feeds your adrenaline, and it feeds the chemistry that's happening. And then all of a sudden you hand it to him, and then later he doesn't do anything with it. What
Oh
did you
my
look at?
gosh, don't even say that. I would have a heart attack. I'd be like, we're handing out these flyers. Off we go. Everybody's walking down the road.
That's right.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah,
Okay,
so you're
so
doing all the right things because it's based on the mental pathways. It's also based on your physiology and what you've trained your body to do. So we often have to retrain that without losing who you are. Because,
mhm,
like I said, everyone wants a type A.
yeah.
Hopefully, they want you at a party as well, not
Yeah,
just to play at a party.
that's right. That's right. So finding that happy balance between the chronic dreamer and the type A personality without changing who somebody is and how they're wired to be. Because this is
Yeah.
kind of what I'm picturing with our conversation in my head. It's like you're a car and you like that you're a race car and you're going 1,000 miles an hour. Eventually that car is going to need maintenance. It's going to need an oil change. It's going to need nutrition. It's going to need rest. It's going to need all of those things. How do you work with clients to balance them out, if you like, to give them those
Right.
little checks?
Right. Well, the first thing that we have to think about is, what are you, if you're taking your analogy of the car,
Mm,
what are you actually? Are you a souped up car that you just put tons of things on
yeah.
to make yourself go faster,
Yeah.
drinking coffee, Red Bulls, what are you doing to make that car go,
Mm,
right? And are you doing it in the way that is right for you?
mm,
So sometimes when I talk to people, people often ask, well, how do we know the signs of burnout before we get burnt out? And that's kind of what you're saying. Like, how do
Yeah.
we get, like, what do we feed this car if it's going 1,000 miles an hour? Well, not everybody needs a rest in the
Mhm.
same way that other people do. If I told you, okay, now go and meditate, you'd
Oh
be
my
like,
gosh. I can
why?
do 5 minutes max, and even then it's not very good.
Exactly. But if I
Mm.
said, go for a walk, it can be as fast as you want for as long as you want, but no headphones allowed. You'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, true. Yep.
And that is also a meditative state. So maybe that's how you refresh. Maybe that's how you rebuild. Maybe that's your nutrition. It's really, really customized for each person. And that's the other thing about coaching. A lot of coaches do, oh, well, just take coffee, just do ashwagandha, just do this.
Yeah.
And that's not how it works when we're working with type A's. Now, I can say a type A probably needs to figure out where their cycle of rest is,
Mm.
but not, okay, now you got to go and lay on a beach for 4 hours. You'll lose your mind. That's
Yeah.
not going to be healthy for you. So I always say how you can tell if, let's say you're the car, how you can tell as a person when you're on that road is now everybody's always like, oh, well, brain fog or vitality or low energy, or I can't remember things. Those are common, but you're
Mm.
already in that, right?
Yeah.
But if it feels good to keep going, that's a flashing red light on your car. That's like, oh, I feel better when I keep going and I
Mm.
feel worse when I stop. If
Mm.
everyone and every facet of your life is asking you for a favor, you have to kind of think about that. And if people around you keep telling you to rest,
Yeah.
that's where the car lights are starting to flash. Those are your flashing lights. And so we got to take a moment and reevaluate how fast you're pushing yourself.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, the good news then is that we can balance ambition and the type A personality without sacrificing well-being, right?
Correct.
So
Correct.
that's amazing. Now, so let's talk self-care as well, because it's this buzzword that annoys the hell out of me, especially when it comes to being a woman, right? Because they
Mhm.
go, oh, self-care, take a shower, or as a mum, go to the toilet on your own. It's like, that's not self-care. That's a basic human need. Like,
Yep.
so let's talk about self-care and go even deeper into that soul care, if you like, because I know that this is something that you speak about. What's the difference to
Absolutely.
you between the two?
So self-care is a list that you check off.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the shower, or I had a shower by myself, or I booked that massage.
Mm.
Okay, so I should be okay. It's a list that you go down and you say, oh, well, I had time to read my book. Soul care is what you do and what you dream about doing if you had time.
Mm. Yeah.
And that's what you have to give yourself. That's what you have to be protective of. And as a really busy person and as a type A, because that's what we're speaking to today,
Yeah.
the way to find out what your soul care, the trick to find out what your soul care link is and what really fills you up is identified through your five senses. So if when you're daydreaming about what you would do on your free time, it's like dancing or going to a concert. So you would gravitate towards something audio.
Yeah.
So birds or anything like that. If it's about wrapping yourself into a blanket or feeling the sun on your skin, then it's touch. And then we keep going down that or smelling. So before we got on here, like you obviously were in two different sides of the planet. I put essential oil on because part of what feeds my soul is a great smell. You can't see that, but it sets me up for success.
Yeah.
And I know these little things sound so trivial, but it really does matter because I've taken the time to feed what is important to me.
Mm.
And the clinical side of it, it's grounding.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I'm a big fan of smells, all sorts of smells. Like, seriously, if I pack in my job as a publisher, I reckon I could get a job as a human sniffer dog at the airports because my nose is unreal. So I love sensory stuff and
Right.
talking about sensory stuff because it does amaze me. And I see it with my kids as well. Like if they're having a meltdown, just something sensory, whether it's rain sounds, like both my daughter and I sleep to rain sounds, not gentle, like lovely, calming rain. No, it's a full on like hurricane thunderstorm. I don't know why, but it works for us. And essential oils and a weighted blanket. So all of those sorts of senses. Why do you think that those senses are so important to human well-being?
Well, that's luxury. That's the luxury I'm talking about.
Yeah.
The one thing that aligns you back to your center, right? And so all of your senses are a part and signaling to the rest of your body and to the synapses in your brain. Oh, what do I have to do to make this rebalance?
Yeah.
And so when you work with your senses, this is the luxury piece, this is the soul care piece. And we get so far away from that. So earlier we were talking about coffee. You were like, I love the smell of coffee.
Love the smell
Well,
of coffee.
that makes sense because it's a very grounding smell. I always tell my clients, if you want people to leave your house, put a pot of coffee on.
Really?
Because yeah, try it next time there's somebody waiting too long.
Yeah.
They're just hanging on a bit too long.
Yeah.
You just put this, because the smell is more important than the actual taste and the caffeine, because it kind of grounds you down. It kind of recenters you and you go off. So when you know these things, it realigns your body. It gets you into a place of luxury, not to go back to where we started, but that is a luxurious moment to realign yourself, and then you can move forward. So
Yeah.
you found the trick to keep going, to help your personality, to help your physiology do what you need to do, which is have a successful publishing company.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm curious now. Okay, so as a woman, I get all of this, right? Like the essential oils and the smells. Like before we hopped on, I sprayed myself with it, like an essential oil blend, because I like it. I called it the feel good spray, and it's just kind of shifting the mentality. It's just a blend of oils that I made up myself. The coffee's on. I had it in my morning shower, that sort of thing. I gave everybody a little cuddle. As a woman, I get all of that. Like there's essential oils on my desk, there's a candle, there's plants, because that fills my soul out. Is it different for men, do you think, because of how society kind of expects them to act?
Yes and no. It's not different in the sense of they have to find their secret code, right? Whatever that is for them. It is different because they're single focused.
Yeah.
So I love my male clients because literally it's like, you know what? Do you want to go and do that? They're like, yes, they go and do it. And I always say women need to take a page out of their book
Yeah.
and start to say, they're not going to wait to go to the bathroom.
It's true. They don't. And it blows my mind. I'm like, I just waited 5 hours to go to the loo. Like literally. And he's like, no, I need to go now. I'm like,
Yeah.
well, that's
They're not going to be
nice.
like, okay, on the highway, we have a 2-hour drive on the highway. You know what? We don't need to go to the restaurant, but like if we get it, then all the kids are going to want a snack. And then we get out of the car. They're going to be like, I'm pulling over.
Yeah.
I'm going to the bathroom. Like,
Yes.
so it's different and it's the same. So
Yes.
they can find what speaks to them, and they can use essential oils. Or the cologne or whatever it is that their jam is. And they can find it in their own way. Maybe it's heavy metal music. It doesn't really matter. But it's different in the sense that you don't have to convince them to take care of their bodies. Sometimes you do. But generally speaking, if they have a need, it's right then. It's right now. They're hungry.
Yeah, that's true. So do you think that's just because of the way their biology is wired?
I think estrogen does a lot of things. for us and to us.
That's a good way of putting it, for and to us.
Yeah, so I think there is some physiology there. I think there is a social construct of how men are. I think it's all of those things. That's holistic, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So when we're talking holistic wellness in your kind of vibe, your space, what
Mhm.
does that look like? Obviously, we've got essential oils, we've got soul care, we've got self care, we've obviously got a little bit of mindset in there as well. What about like your herbs? Tell me about how the whole approach comes together.
So for me, my background was very Western medicine
Mm.
and very plant physiology focused and very lab focused. And I always liked that nerdy part, but I loved plants. I've always loved plants.
Mm.
And when it was time for me to transition into something that was more holistic coaching and clinical herbalism, I based everything around plants and plant health and what to do with plants and herbs and supplements. So that's my first love. And
Yeah.
so that's where I would go every time. However, when I look at a plant, I look at a plant differently because in Western culture, it's the same as prescriptions, right? Oh, I have a bruise. I'm going to use arnica to fix that bruise,
Mhm.
right? Or I have congestion in my sinuses. So I'm going to use, let's say, orange peel tea to
Yeah.
kind of get rid of it, right?
Yeah.
So that's a one-to-one, a cause and effect, and we find that. But I like to use the whole plant. So the energy around the plant, the energy around your body, that's where the intuition comes in, and what herb to use in what dose and in what way for you.
Mm. Yeah. Amazing. And how did you end up in this space? What's the journey for you? Where did you come from? What was that like for you? And what made you so passionate about luxury wellness?
Yeah, so as a kid, I puked a lot.
Okay. Good to know. I hope you grew out of that.
No, not until
Oh,
I was
no.
21. Like,
Really?
yeah, everywhere.
Interesting.
Everywhere. So it was the 80s. I had a nervous stomach, that's what they said. And then eventually I had allergy shots and everything under the sun, and I couldn't eat anything. And it just kind of moved on. But when I was in grad school, so what they eventually figured out was abnormal migraines that triggered TIAs, so mini strokes.
Wow.
And yeah.
That sounds extreme.
Well, sometimes I forget that I need to pause there, huh?
I mean, I grew up as a teenager, and when all the hormones started to kick in, I used to get horrible migraines to the point where the only way that the pain would get relieved is by vomiting. Pain had to get that bad that I threw up, and then it was like a pressure release, and I was absolutely fine after that. And I grew out of them. But for yours to cause mini strokes, that sounds horrific.
So, I mean, it wasn't pleasant.
I'd be worried if you said it was. I'd be like, you need to go see someone about that.
But it's like if you're a type A, it's like people being like, how can you do all that? Or why don't you slow down? When you're in the middle of your life,
Doing it.
it's your life.
Yeah.
So I probably had migraines since I was like 8 or so. I probably had that. The way my body dealt with it. Well, first of all, in Eastern medicine, your first brain is your gut. So
Mhm.
now I know I had a lot of gut problems.
Yeah.
Right. And that was triggering some migraines. But what I also now understand is when I was doing all of that, I had pressure, I had stress, and I went to the ER and they gave me a typical migraine medication.
Mhm.
And that flipped flipped something. And I have abnormal migraines, so the typical migraine would not, it just did not go well. And
Yeah.
so that's how, thank God they did, because that was a big enough mini stroke that I was in the ER for.
Yeah.
And then that just set me down a path that really opened my mind to other ways of healing and other ways of doing things.
Yeah. Amazing. And what did that look like? Did you meet someone who specialized in Eastern medicine, or did you just do your own research being a type A and be like, I'm figuring this shit out, like it's happening?
I think there's something to divine timing,
Mm,
and I think there's something to people coming into your life. So
yeah.
I was wheeled in at like 2 in the morning in the ICU. And because I was young, I was 23, maybe
Yeah.
24. And it was a teaching hospital, which was great. And the woman at the bed next to me the next day, which would have been somebody or should have been somebody very elderly, was
Mm.
like maybe 20 years older than me. And she was from New York City, and she like just bucked the system. Like everything they diagnosed her with, she was like, "That's not it. I have lead issues. That's not it. I'm going to talk to my acupuncturist. That's not it." And I grew up in a very small rural town. I was driven to go to school and do all that. And she just seemed so wild to me. It was
Yeah.
early 2000s. She was doing yoga and going to retreats and doing all that stuff. So she introduced me after everything got diagnosed. And I looked at the neurologist because I had a background in biology. And I
Mm.
said, "Why is this happening? What are we doing?" And he was so great. And he said, "We don't know. Manage your stress and don't be on birth control."
Mm.
Called the lady who had gone her own way. We stayed in touch. She left and was discharged, and I was like, I don't know what to do. And she put me in touch with all of these people. And I went to see a Korean acupuncturist, and he tried to do chi on me and
Mhm.
like feel an energy. And I was like, I have no idea what's happening,
Yeah.
but I don't care.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
want to feel better, and I am going to feel better. And that just sent me on this journey.
Yeah. You got pushed to that point where there was no other option but to
Correct.
change. Yeah. Now,
And I'm glad I had it when I was young because I
yeah.
faced my mortality. I faced the fact that there's other ways to do things. And now
Mm.
I have merged that so that I can work with people like me who was a little bit skeptical of things.
Yeah. Amazing. Now, you said
Mm.
something interesting before that tied in with a podcast that I listened to the other day. So, have you heard of the Diary of a CEO podcast?
Yes.
Okay, one of my most favorite podcasts ever. I love it. It's kind of that's part of my soul. My soul care is listening to nerdy podcasts like that because I just find them so interesting, learning new things. And there was a woman on there and she was talking about birth control and
Mhm.
how no woman should be on birth control. And it was a really interesting conversation about how, yes, birth control has allowed us to grow careers. It's allowed us to do way more than we ever thought possible because now we can plan exactly when
Mhm.
and if we get pregnant. But there's a very dark side to that as well. What's your opinion on birth control?
So I really believe that we have to own our own choices,
Mm,
right? So if I want a career, if I want to choose the partner to have a baby with, I have to be responsible in the way that is healthiest for me.
mm,
And so, whether it's birth control, whether it's any kind of hormonal augmentation, that's the wrong word,
yeah,
but you know what I mean.
yeah.
Any during menopause or when you're a teenager or whatever, I don't feel across the board that anybody should just be broad brushed into, oh, you have heavy periods, here's a birth control pill.
Mhm.
Oh, I think it's choice. Now, for me, I had mini strokes, and nobody would give me a birth control pill, even if I like asked for it.
Yeah.
But what's my alternative, right?
Yeah.
What is my alternative? Is it to have my tubes tied? They
Mm,
won't do that at a certain age. Is it to do the rhythm method? So everything has to be looked at before we say 100% yes or 100% no.
mm,
Now, I think it's really important that you talk to your medical team. Now, that can include a herbalist if your doctors are open to it, or
yeah.
if you're willing to, but just owning what it is you want in your life
Yeah.
and not having it prescribed to you just because. I don't
Yeah.
love that.
Yeah. Everything's a choice. And I think a lot of people fail to realize that everything in your life is a choice. and you have the power to choose differently, or to go on an exploration and have people doing Korean chi on you. Um, and
And
go,
like, what's going to happen to me too? Like, if I do get pregnant, like, is that a high risk? Like, where do we go?
yeah.
And what is the answer? And this is the luxury piece to
Mm,
not have sex, to have a partner that's willing to do an alternative. Like, there's so many options,
yeah.
but people don't want to look at the options because we don't have time, or it
Mm,
won't happen to us, or it doesn't matter. So I think you need to be cautious. I think we all need to be cautious when we're going on birth control,
yeah.
because there's so many of them too.
Yeah.
Like,
There is now.
stop at one.
Mm,
Like, if something isn't working and you choose birth control, be the squeaky wheel. Find something that does work.
yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And something that I see that's really interesting in Western medicine, because I've had my own health problems ongoing, and I know that my doctor, she's literally waiting for my thyroid to fail. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
why are you practicing medicine this way? Like, don't take my blood, tell me I'm too thin to eat more and to come back in a month. I'm like, first of all, I can tell you I eat more than your entire family put together. Like, I am a tiny, tiny woman, but I eat like 7 truckers haven't eaten for 3 days in one meal. And to have a medical professional going, I'll just eat more and come back. I'm like, it's clearly not working. There is something else wrong. Why do you think that Western medicine is so hell bent? I don't know if it's the same in America, but definitely here in Australia, so hell bent on treatment rather than prevention, because that makes no sense to me. If you know there's an issue, if you know there's a warning light on, why are we not doing something about it?
Well, I think that's an excellent question. And I think that it's a system issue, right?
Mm,
Like a systemic system issue. I think that most doctors don't have time. They
yeah,
might want to, they really, I do believe that they have well-meaning and good intentions,
of
right?
course. Yeah.
But they don't have time to figure out. So, like, someone like me, it's like, okay, what are your labs? What have the doctors said? Have you always had this appetite, or did it switch after your second baby?
Mm,
Or did it, that whole history is really important for figuring out the preventative methods.
yeah.
I have a couple of clients that cannot put on weight. And to be honest with you, it's wonderful when we have 10 extra pounds. And it's like, okay, well, why did they say to eat this and not this? And I was like, because they're doing all the right things
Mhm.
and they're following something that works for the average person. And
Yeah.
you're outside the average.
Yeah.
Guaranteed that they're waiting for your thyroid to fail, or they want to zap it and then put you on a medication
Which is,
that will.
and I've already said that's not happening. She's like, but you're going to get really sick. And I'm like, well, so be it. I'll figure it out. But like, we're not doing that. And that's a choice, obviously. I mean, I could just go, yeah, okay, cool. I'll just follow along with your little zappy zap zap. Well, that's not going to happen because that's not who I am.
That's
Right.
a technical term. I said it too. They zap it, you zappy zap it. It's
That's
done.
right. That's right. They can use it. But you're
Yeah.
right. It is a systemic issue, because I've just had major ankle surgery, and I was at the doctor's the other day, and the nurse called through and she's like, oh, so-and-so said that they need another appointment. He's like, yes, slot her in for 8 minutes. I'm like, what are you going to do in 8 minutes? By the time you've said hello, they've sat down, they've told you what's wrong. I'm like, there's at least 4 minutes gone. Then you take the blood pressure and the temperature, and then you write the script. I'm like, how are these people? And I feel sorry for them, because I don't think any of them going through med school thought, oh, this is going to be the dream,
Right.
pumping out
Right.
people in numbers. I think it's a very sad systemic issue, but I'm so glad that there are people like you where we can go for options and we can go for that deeper exploration if we choose to.
Yes. And a lot of people get to me after they've had the 8 minutes and the 8
Mhm.
minutes, and the 8 minutes, and what, and they
78
want
minutes.
more.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I know.
exactly.
Yeah.
And they want more, and they want something different, and they want a fresh look,
Mm.
because we're putting together a podcast
Yeah.
that hopefully people resonate with and love, and there's depth to it.
Yes.
When we're all talking about something that is important, imagine if everybody had an hour with the doctor that they resonated the most,
Mm,
right?
yeah.
That would be a totally different experience.
Yes. Yep, absolutely. And speaking of things like that, let's talk mental health as well. It's
Mhm.
like there are 1,000 counselors, psychologists, whatever it is, alternative coaches on the scene.
Yep.
But until you find that person that you resonate with, that your energy settles with and is aligned with. And I used to be really, really woo. I'm not anymore. But there are
Yeah.
some simple things that you can't ignore. You just can't. If you just know when that's your person, when you fit after a few words, whether that's happening, to find somebody like that when you either have counselor or a herbalist or a doctor or a teacher, whatever it is that you're needing at that time, is just the most beautiful gold that somebody can have. So
Absolutely.
yeah, don't settle is what I'm saying. Like don't give up and just go, "Oh, it's too hard." There are people who you will align with and can create amazing results for you.
And that ties back into luxury.
Mm,
That ties back into soul care.
yes.
That ties back into this concept. I always say people know in their head, they know in their heart, and they know in their gut. And
Mm,
true alignment is when you know in all three. And that's what you just referred to, is that, oh, yeah, this is my person. Like
mhm.
they get me, I get them, you
Yeah.
know. And a lot of times people get themselves talked out of
Yeah.
that feeling, that knowing. They're
Mm,
like, "This doesn't quite feel right, but I already paid and I'm already invested. I've already spoke to them." So
yes.
sometimes you have to pivot. Sometimes you have to endure, but then sometimes you have to pivot.
Yeah. And I love this part of the conversation because it's so much of why I do what I do. So I own a publishing company. I work specifically with entrepreneurs to write nonfiction books that act as lead generators and help them grow their business and build authority, right? But the way that we write isn't like some textbook. It's a very real, raw, and vulnerable piece of that entrepreneur, that professional, that change maker that comes through in the book. Why do we do that? Because when people read that book, they can immediately identify on a subconscious level, and sometimes it becomes conscious, this is my person. So when you can
Mhm.
recognize yourself in somebody else's story, the way that they speak, their sense of humor, what they like to do on the weekend, their challenges, their drive, what they do and don't like, the fact that they like the smell of coffee, maybe you like the smell of coffee, like those sorts of things. And I think it is such a powerful way of being human that just
Mhm.
cuts away all that noise of social media and overwhelm of choice, where you can just pick up a book and go, yes, I love this person, they're my person, and then you go and follow them, or no, I hate this person, absolutely not, moving forward. And that's an awesome way to be able to self-weed like that.
And you know what I find so great about you is you've openly said you were very woo at one point and you're
Yeah.
not so much anymore. But it's no different than my experience too. You know, you go from one side to the other and then you find what is
Find your
balanced for
balance.
you. And being very woo, although it can be very fun, you need the structure. You need the structure. So how to speak, that you can speak in whatever term you want and in the creativity that you are bringing forward in your publishing company and to your clients with the structure that a book provides.
Mm,
So,
yeah, it used to drive me mad. So I used to do business coaching before I opened the publishing company. And it used to drive me mad. I used to attract, because had very woo-woo branding. I had a very woo-woo business name. I called myself an intuitive business coach because I was in that phase of my life, right?
right.
But I used to attract very woo-woo people. And now there is nothing wrong with woo-woo people. Let me be very clear. But I used to attract a lot of people who were dreaming of being an entrepreneur. And they'd be like, oh, I'm just going to create this like crystal grid and I'm going to manifest $10,000 by next week. And I'm like, no, you're not. And they honestly would be genuinely surprised when they would show up and they'll be like, oh, I didn't make any money this week. I'm really stressed. I'm like, okay, well, did you do what we spoke about? Like, you're going to do this, 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 and this. They're like, oh, no. And I'm like,
Yeah.
well, and I just ended up shutting that part of the business down because I just got so frustrated. And I honestly felt bad taking people's money when I was like, I know that what I'm giving you works, but you have to action it and you can't force someone to action it. So I was like, this is my ticket out of here. I don't feel good in alignment anymore. And that was kind of my journey through that. But I want to know if someone is listening to this or watching this, Kristy, who feels exhausted, stuck, like they're constantly on the hamster wheel chasing that success and dreaming those dreams, but never feeling truly fulfilled, what's the first step that you'd recommend they take?
Take a pause. Like whether it's 15 minutes, 5 minutes, an hour, whatever time you have, if you're sitting in your car, take a pause and do a reflection back to the last 3, 5, 10 years
Mm.
and say, is this a pattern in my life?
Mm.
Does this happen to me fairly frequently? And when I say fairly frequently, I remember 4 separate times in my whole life that this has happened where
Yeah.
I just couldn't get off it. And then I quit my life and I moved to Canada.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of from experience.
Yes.
Or, oh, the last time I had this, I was pregnant, or that's the first step. Take a
Mhm.
pause.
Yeah. So an
Figure
evaluation.
out if this is a pattern.
And if it is a pattern, what then?
Find the right support.
Mm.
Right, what you were talking about. Find the right support. It could be a friend. Oftentimes your friends and family aren't the right support just
Mhm.
because they have their own filters and they have their own fears and all of that. But what you had just said is find the people that resonate with you. And, let's say, so one of the things that's interesting about what you just said about your old business is those are my chronic dreamers.
Mm.
But my chronic dreamers are trapped on that hamster wheel.
Yeah.
They don't have they weren't fostered. They didn't foster the creative side. They had so much structure that they don't know how to get past it. So for someone that can hear me speaking or you speaking, that's the second piece.
Mm.
Find the right support. And it can be in the form of online or private coaching or customized, or maybe it is a doctor, but that is where you have to be relentless. Where is the support that works for you?
Yeah. Yeah. I love that. I honestly believe it does take a village to do anything worthwhile. And this is coming from a massive introvert loner. Like I like nothing better than being on my own. I'm like, I don't want people. Like, no. But it does. It takes a team. Like I couldn't do in my business what I do without my team.
No, and the other piece to this too is where are your strengths? And if you know where your strengths are, you then surround yourself by the people that have the strengths that aren't yours.
Absolutely.
And that makes a great team. And so if you are a type A, then you have to have somebody in your corner that can advocate for you to relax, or not even relax, but get better health alignment and find the solutions, the support. Not
Yes.
the person is not your solution. Nobody outside of you is your solution, but you need the support to get to the solution.
Yeah. I love that. So with that being said, an amazing conversation, Kristy. Thank you so much for being here with me today. I have learned a lot and pointed out a lot of my type A little tendencies here and there. But before we go, we have a tradition on the podcast called the book drop. And we want to know what book has impacted you either personally or professionally.
Okay, well, if I may, I'm going to do 2.
Oh, that's it. Extend my reading list even more. I love it.
So the first book is called The 4 Tendencies. Gretchen, do you know that one?
I haven't read that one. No.
She wrote The Happiness Project.
Okay. I know the Happiness Project.
Yeah. So she has a secondary book. It's called The 4 Tendencies.
Okay.
So I recommend all my type A's, all my business owners, everybody who is struggling raising that really difficult child to take a look at that book and read it as it's like a personality typing, but it doesn't take 3 years to get through. It gives you some really good insights, and that has really changed and really helped a lot of my clients. And I really like it. I recommend it to everyone.
Interesting. Okay, beautiful. And what was the other one?
It's a book called The Red Lion. So it's kind of hard to find. Have you read this one?
I haven't, no, but now I'm intrigued because like it's hard to find. So my type A personality is going, right, a challenge. Let's find the Red Lion.
Yeah, it's hard to find. It was written by a woman during the communist era. And I think she was Hungarian, and so it was blacklisted. But it's this really kind of interesting story about this guy who finds the elixir of life
Mhm.
and is reincarnated until he gets to the place. But it's like historical. So there's some historical accuracy and some fiction. And I thought it was a profound book.
Yeah, very cool. I love the unique ones that get thrown in here. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today, Kristy, and your wisdom with our viewers. And I'm sure we'll be speaking again soon.
Hope to. Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to the Taryn Reeve Show. If today's episode lit a fire in you, share it with someone who needs to hear it. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss a story that could transform your business. If you're ready to write the book that positions you as the go-to authority in your industry, visit automaticauthority.com to find out how we can help you make it happen. Until next time, keep owning your story, leading with impact, and building a legacy.